So, hallo und herzlich willkommen zurück zu Part 2 für das Uncharted Special. In diesem Part wird es sich viel um die Technik drehen, das heißt Motion Capturing und Animationen. Und ich würde sagen, wir legen direkt mal los und machen weiter.
Art direction, it's really always been a big thing for us at Naughty Dog. With Uncharted, it wasn't any different. We really wanted to set the tone artistically and go with believable humans and take on this big challenge, but we wanted them to have a certain style to them.
This is finally it.
A lot of that involved really painting textures. All our textures are hand-painted. We don't use any photos for our textures. That was a big part of it. We also knew that Uncharted was going to be a very, very heavily story-driven game. And so we had these characters that needed to act.
And I just might let you live.
So the PS2 versus the PS3 was a really big jump for us. When we were working on the PS2, we were able to have 2 to 3 textures per character. For Uncharted, we're looking at anywhere between 20 to 30 textures per character, which is a huge jump for us. In terms of the models of the characters, we were able to go up to high detailed 30 million polygon characters, which is then converted into texture maps, but that was unheard of during the PS2 times. On the PS3, however, we have the power now to really take on human characters and make them believable. This is something that, was an incredibly overwhelming task, but we really took on head first. The PS3 was able to allow us to create subtleties that we wouldn't be able to do previously. Skin detail, pore detail, have anatomically correct body structures, elaborate facial expressions. These are all things that the power of the PS3 has really allowed us to actually create. For our modeling pipeline, we have a certain mesh that is a clean mesh that we take in to a program like ZBrush. We then sculpt the geometry and create these high detailed sculptures, the kind of sculpture with wrinkles and pore detail. And from that, we take that information, we create a new re-optimized mesh, which is what actually ends up in the game. The purpose for that really allows us to define strong silhouettes. When you look at the character in the game, it has a very strong silhouette to it. To achieve cinematic quality, we looked at a lot of foams and the kind of things they were doing. One of the things in foam that we weren't able to do on the PS2 that we're able to do on the PS3 now is they have complex shaders and complex rendering techniques. That allows us to create multiple layers of textures that we can pipe into a shader that gives us complex skin. We also looked at a lot of rendering techniques that take place in foam, post-blur effects, specific lighting per character, soft shadows, all of these things is what really brings cinematic quality characters to life, and we try to emulate those things in game. In order to create these characters, we knew as well that we were going to need an extensive amount of facial poses. Initially, before on Jack games, we had somewhere between 60 and 80 poses. We figured for Uncharted, we were going to need anywhere between 200 to 300 poses per character. There's so many small things inside of a character that really brings them to life. If one of those things is not working or is wrong, it breaks everything. So we had to really make sure that every aspect of the character was at the highest possible fidelity to keep them alive. Initially, we focused a lot on the mouth, making sure that the mouth could hit the correct accents when someone was talking. But soon we brought people in, people were looking at it, and everybody focuses on the eyes. That's a natural human thing to look people in the eyes when you talk to them. So we realized we really had to put a lot of attention into the eyes. This involved creating movement of the eyelids when the eyeball moved around. We would change the shape of the eyelids. We also added in self-shadowing where the eyeball meets the eyelid. That area was often very bright and glowed. So we created a custom shader that allowed us to actually darken and self-shadow the area inside of the eye. Not only was the face an important aspect of the character of us, but even his body and the way he moved. We also spent a lot of time developing systems that allowed us to emulate muscle structure inside of the body. So when the character actually flexes his arm, there's a bicep bulge. When he moves around, his chest actually has volume and form to it. So we created underlying joint structures that actually emulated muscles, and now when Drake moves around, he has a solid mass, a solid form, and he really feels like a believable character that's there and it's tangible.
Okay, krass, was da für eine Arbeit drin steckt in den Gesichtsanimationen. Jetzt kommen wir zu den groben Körperanimationen. Bin ich mal gespannt, wie das aussieht.
Here at Naughty Dog, animation has always been really important to us and has been heavily focused on. And so we knew we wanted to raise the bar of what we're doing and what the industry has been doing as a whole. And one of those things is to really allow the character in the game to show emotion. And so you'll really be able to see that he's showing fear, that he's intimidated, that he's confident, or that he's insecure, that he's determined. And so all of that will come out and just really add a lot more life that wasn't there before in the game. We had three main goals animating this character on this project. One of them was to achieve realistic movement with a really good sense of weight, and the other is fluidity. We wanted him to smoothly go from move to move without popping from state to state the way we see in a lot of other games. And you put those two first goals together and you get really fluid animation. It looks really good, but it's really slow and unresponsive. So the third goal, and the most important goal, is to get responsiveness. One of the things that makes Drake so lifelike is the sheer volume of animations that we're doing on this game. We're doing about 10 times more than we've ever done in the past, which is huge. I mean, it's a huge step, 10 times the amount of animation. With the variety that we're adding, the layers that we're adding on top, to try to mask all that so you don't see the same thing, and you see a lot of organic nature of the character, and that really gives it this humanness. What makes this game truly next-gen has been the focus that we're doing on movement. In the next generation, we've seen a lot of great rendering, great shading, polygon counts are up higher, lighting's looking really good. So we've seen a lot of good-looking games from a rendering perspective, and they all look really good from a still frame, but once you start to see them move, that's when they start to break down. The animation quality hasn't risen to that same level at this point. What we found is that it's Drake's imperfections that make him believable. It's him stumbling, it's him not perfectly landing correctly every time. And so one of the things that we wanted to do with him is make him a kind of an everyman put into an extraordinary situation. And we hope that comes across, that he doesn't do everything perfectly every time. PlayStation 3 really opened up the floodgates for us to achieve the goals that we wanted to with the animation. We need much more CPU power than we've ever had before. And the amount of memory that we have to work with now just really allows us to have the quantity and quality that we need, especially with the layers that we're doing and all the processes that are going on right now. It just could not be done in any other way. And if we can do that, then we can tell more of the story during gameplay while he's in the middle of action and while the player is actually going through the levels and going through the game. In the past, the line between cinematics and gameplay has been very clear. You play the game, and then you go into a storytelling moment, then you play the game again. What we're trying to do with Uncharted is to blur that line a little bit more so that you'll be playing the game along and things start happening around you as you're playing, so you're still interactive. A lot of the ways that we're able to tell the story is through the environment and through the other characters in the scene.
Don't you guys usually just cut off a finger or something?
We don't have to cut to a cutscene in order to deliver a line of dialogue or a story or things that we want to portray to kind of lead the character on and lead Drake and the player on to the bigger story that's unveiling. So all that will happen while you're playing the game.
Ja, wunderbar, dann haben wir das auch abgeschlossen. Dann kommen jetzt noch die Umgebungen, die Level sind also gemeint. Die Flora, die Fauna und die Tempel, die wir durchschritten haben mit Drake. Sehr schön.
You know, we had to get our heads around shaders and the whole concept of shaders because last generation was polygons, and this generation on the PS3, it's more about surface details, which comes from shaders. So that's using any number of textures in conjunction to get a rendering effect on the surface of the polygon. So on the PS3, we had to take on a new concept of lighting. You know, HDR lighting, the high dynamic range lighting, gave us the ability to really stretch the values, that scale of contrast, lights and darks in image space to a broader range. so that on the fly, as we're pulling and stretching these ranges and changing the apertures of the camera as we're moving in and out of dark areas to light areas, we're also trying to make it easy on the player's eye and make the screen still readable and playable. For that instant that you come out of the dark and you move into the light, we want that effect of like, oh, there's a lot of light out here, it's a bright sunny day, and we'll pull it back into the range. To do it on the fly and to control it in a way that's manageable and still, it excites the visual aspects, but it doesn't interfere with the gameplay is very important to us in next-gen technology. PlayStation 3 is like, you know, allowing us to do these amazing things runtime. We're hitting easily over 30 frames a second in some complex environments that have all this wind gusting around, and it can be this nice little breeze, and we can then push through an actual gust that like churns it up a little bit and then it settles back down, and then we're actually getting a runtime shadow calculated on the background, and then the hero walks into it and he gets it too, so he gets this dappled, beautiful dappled light of these shadows and light playing across his body. We decided to take on water, and if you're gonna do water, it has to look kick-ass. You wanna make really nice water. So it has to feel wet, it has to look like the player is interacting with it, and if you shoot the surface, you want it to react to that shot. If you shoot near the surface, maybe there is some sort of an impact on the soil that you also want to that wind would impact, and we get that as well. And the water has to flow, it has to fall, and it has to break up, and it has to have volumetric particles at the bottom. Water's hard. We have a volumetric shader that is used for our waterfall, so it actually has, what that means is there's a depth to it. Volumetric meaning it has a parallaxing effect. So we get a faster inner moving, a slower outer moving, and then we add volumetric particles on top of that of a mist. It's a pretty complex system. Without the PlayStation 3 and without Naughty Dog being crazy, I mean, we wouldn't be doing water, that's for sure, because it's crazy.
So, und jetzt kommt noch mal was Besonderes, denn jetzt sehen wir in einem zusammengefassten Bild alle Sequenzen, die für eine Filmsequenz letztendlich benötigt werden und zusammengeführt werden müssen.
You see, when Drake sailed into the Pacific, he took the Spanish fleet completely by surprise. He captured their ships, he took all their maps, their letters, their journals, and he recorded everything in this diary. But when he returned to England, Queen Elizabeth confiscated all his charts and logbooks, including this one, and then swore the entire crew to secrecy.
Yeah.
See, when Drake discovered something on that voyage, Sully, something so secret and so valuable, they couldn't risk it getting out.
All right, Nate, just pretend for a minute that I don't really care about any of that stuff and cut to the chase, would you?
A man only interested in the climax. You must be a real hit with the ladies.
Never had any complaints.
Fine, then I will get to the good part just for you.
Oh.
Huh?
El goddamn Dorado.
He was onto something big, all right.
Is there anything else in here?
Oh, so now you're interested, huh?
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, no. Last page was torn out. I'm telling you, Sully. This is it. This is finally it.
Yeah. Only we got one little problem.
Yes, that's what I said. It blew up. It sunk. No, that's why we have insurance, right?
No, Sully.
Oh.
No, you don't understand, Sully.
Oh no, the camera's fine. Don't worry about the camera. It's
She's shocked, babe.
still as good as new.
Sully, the girl can hold her own. You should have seen her.
Fine. You go on out there and you tell her, we just found the lost city of gold. Maybe her producer can get it on the air tonight.
Come on.
Nate, do you trust me?
More or less.
Good. Because we're going to have every half-wit scumbag in the world chasing us to this treasure unless we cut her loose right now.
You're a real gentleman, Sully.
I know. It stinks. She'll get over it.
No, I don't care that we're over budget. I mean, do you realize that this could be like the biggest story of the year? No, I don't trust him, okay? That's why we need somebody here fast. So just get me a camera crew, and I promise you that... You son of a bitch. Hey! Oh, should have seen that one coming.
Also ich persönlich finde sowas sau interessant und deshalb schauen wir auch mal direkt zum nächsten weiter, der nächsten Sequenz. Der Ausbruch.
I know I'm not a big-time treasure hunter like you, but I doubt you're gonna find the Ark of the Covenant in there. How'd you get yourself in this mess?
Trying to rescue you, as a matter of fact.
Oh, that's just so sweet. Traditional sandstone brick and stucco limestone mortar.
How did you get to know so much about this?
My show, episode 4, Architects of a New World. Yep. It'll just take a tug to pull these bars out.
What? Wait, are you sure?
Hey, yeah, get out of my way, go block! Open this goddamn door! Yeah. Hey, Drake.
Eddie Raja. Should have guessed.
Hey, fascinating documents, huh? Seems like this Sir Francis was in my line of work.
Don't flatter yourself, Eddie.
Always ready to be enemies, eh? Tell you what. Lead me to the gold, and I just might let you live.
Oh, is that it? Is that my deal? I either die now or I help you and I die later. You know something, Eddie? It's a tough call, but I'll take die now.
Damn you! Listen to me, maggot. I was promised treasure on this goddamn rock. And now, my men are dying. They can't even go outside to take a piss without an armed guard. And I have nothing to show for it! Yes! I am making you a fair offer. You help me find the treasure, and the last man alive gets the gold. And the girl.
The girl? Oh, Eddie, the girl's long gone. She's probably off the island by now, going for help.
I could sing. You were never very good at poker. I will find her. Trust me. I mean, how much trouble could one girl be? Oh, God damn it! Hey!
Nice job.
Thanks. Hang on.
After them!
Und somit sind wir auch schon beim letzten Abschnitt angekommen, nämlich der Sequenz, die auch nochmal so aufgeteilt wird, die sich die Brücke nennt.
How does something like this happen?
See those scorch marks?
Uh-huh.
Somebody packed this place with enough gunpowder to blow it wide open. Whoa. Watch where you step. Some of these boards are really falling apart. Elena! I can't hold on! Give me your other hand! You've got to let it go!
Damn it!
Okay.
Oh, shit!
It's okay. Come on. Come on.
So, meine sehr verehrten Zuschauer, das soll es dann jetzt gewesen sein mit den Specials zu Uncharted. Ich hoffe, es hat euch ein bisschen getaugt. Wenn, dann schreibt es schön in die Comments. Und ich verabschiede mich jetzt endgültig mit diesem Projekt und sage Danke, bis zum nächsten Let's Play. Ciao, ciao.